just the mono matrix surround outputs going to the crown amplifier. That's just the side and back wall surrounds. Bit of an odd thing to get balanced because I haven't yet sort of kind of put a single mono signal or pink noise sine wave tone and take the just a single connection output from because they've also got the Behringer DCX running through, which is going through the side surrounds, which would be channels on the input channels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 7 and 8 are going straight out from the I think it's the WSA 10. That's for the back half surrounds, and of course got the side surrounds, and so it's called a left half right half surround configuration. Of course it's aliens, so it's on those it's a 424. I got the AC3 6-track, of course DVD, the Blu-ray with the theatrical mixer as well on it. But I need to put a signal so it goes in and connect it via the Phoenix connectors, because they're Phoenix connectors, and then connect them all on the inputs to see if there's anything funny, because I've got a little kind of suspicion there's something a little bit at foot with the Crown CTS 8200. So I need to sort of like just wire up a very complex daisy chain. So that means undoing all the other connectors, unless I've got any spare Phoenix connectors to connect onto it, because they're 3-pin ground, positive and negative, and connect them all up, and then see whether or not the sine wave signal should be all the same signal level theoretically. If it's slightly different in level and such, and I'll go through then probably do a frequency sweep, because if the levels on the amplifier, if they're all set to say they're all set halfway at the moment, I've got a few gain levels that are turned up on the outputs, which is down here. The outputs down here. I've got some of the gain levels turned up a little bit to sort of balance out, to get an even level, because all my surrounds, they should be given an equal level, because it's playing a mono signal. If it was split surround stereo, split surround 70, or stereo surrounds, digital, because the specs are different for those two things, the frequency response and such. The levels, I should only see a few dB tolerances of the signals moving around, even though it's discrete. And also using the pink noise of the SPL meter, and then so if one speaker in the surround array gives a specific SPL, then I mute that channel, then I go to the next surround speaker and adjust the levels and such until I got the same signal on the SPL meter, and then mute that channel and then go on to the next and get the level. So you know, so when it all plays, it should sound even around the room, theoretically, which it does, theoretically. So I can mute the signal's just gone down on the back half surround, so it's just the side surrounds running, side surround array. And put the back half back on, and mute it and back on. Bit tricky, get the levels, you know, set right, set evenly, because when I just generally put pink noise in, or sine wave tone, the levels are, you know, I got to adjust them. I'm thinking there's something going on. I think it might also be there's a little I can never pronounce it. It's a variable resistor called potenium or potenion meter. It's a variable resistor, okay, and it that may be controlling the input signal and output signal or such, or controlling, you know, the level outputs that are visually seen. If they're just slightly miscalibrated, then yeah, it's not a big deal to realign them. It's not a big deal. Because, you know, I doubt every Crown CTS 8200 that leaves the factory floor is absolutely spot on. Not a bad amplifier, but a bit problematic. I've still got to fix one of them. Still got to get some components to repair one of them, which is an easy repair, but it's a bit of a dog's dinner, because I've got to I've got to strip it completely down just to get to the main board that's underneath, and then just desolder a couple of components and then put some new ones on. Then of course I've got another one which I'm presently running at the moment, and I've got to strip that down, take out all the relays, because it's got a bit of a relay issue on the startup, even though it starts up eventually, but some of the relays are a little bit lazy, so they're not synchronizing. The other Crown amplifier it's got no snags with that, but I would say all the relays on that have got to be stripped out and put new ones in. And relays, they're not expensive. I mean, if you buy an AVR, you know, could you be certain that the output levels are equal, you know? And most people in a home theatre, they're not even going to be playing multi-surround array. They're not going to be doing it like how a proper, you know, and yet they're bragging about how great their home theatre is. And yet your surrounds are just not even doing seat to seat. You know, you got these bipolar speakers usually stuck on the sidewall. So you're going to have sound going forward at an angle, and the other one is coming inward, and it's going to reach a few seats, but it's not doing it the correct way. You've got to use monopole. The idea, I think, when dipolars came around was that THX probably thinking, or or Tom Holman maybe thinking, you know, no one in their right mind is going to stick a load of mono surround arrays around their living room now, are they? So it's like, what can you come up with? They come up with this. But the problem with that being, just turn this around. No, I can't. Problem with a dipolar is they're almost a bit similar to those. Oh, remember those TVs that I think they were rear projection, and you have to be literally sat very steady in the seat. You got to have that TV aligned to the height to where your seating is, which it's very awkward. Whether it be those big pioneers they did back in the 90s, others I guess as well. But I saw some pioneers and they were huge size, probably about the size of that OLED. Uh, Actual, the whole thing itself. Even though the screen size on that is a little bit wider, bigger than the actual one that was rear projected, but you had to be in a position where it looked okay. The image, you move this way, that way, the picture goes completely all over the place. It's dreadful. I mean, one of those TVs today, I wouldn't even put it in a dog cat rescue shelter. They were awful, and ridiculously expensive. But dipole speakers, that's the same as like these TVs. You got to be in a fixed. You got to be in this sort of position. You get out the seat and move around, and then I heard them in the demos that were doing home THX, and something was saying it's not, it's not like a proper cinema. It's okay, but it's not like a proper cinema. For the amount of money that it was asking, which was a lot. It was a lot. It was like 10 grand. My goodness. You could buy professional cinema speakers today for less than 10,000 and have a shitload that would power a 400-seat cinema like mine. But no one knows that eBay's going to one day exist, and you get items on there that are sometimes greedy prices and sometimes realistic. And yeah, dipolars. I mean, I could make my speakers dipolar. Just face one that way, face the other one that way, reverse the polarity on one of them, and then the problem there being is it's only going to cater for, but I guess you could use say two dipolar speakers each side wall. So you still have to have, say, more or less a similar principle with one. It's got to be slightly, just a little bit in front, not too far, I guess, because of the way the sounds. And if you listen to it, and then probably move its position, then you notice the sound tone changing. But you're using both ears, right, on this one, listening to that way, because it's supposed to be the opposite way, so that the speaker is there, and so if I were putting pink noise and then shifted its position, then I'm going to notice it sounding more on this side, and then shift it a little bit that way, and then it sounds more balanced, so that it sounds a little bit sound going that way and sound going that way. So you could put two on each side wall and make sure they're, but unless you can get them really cheap today, I mean really cheap, and even if they're still making them and then brand new, unless you can get them for, like, if you ask me, I think a dipolar realistically is only worth about probably less than £100, because I can get professional THX JBLs, the 8330s, often for less than that. I mean, and they got a lot more output power, or not output, they got a little bit more handling on the dynamics, and it's like getting a flashback. It's like, that's what I heard in the cinema, and that's what I'm quite used to. But many other people wouldn't have a clue. They buy these home theatre speakers, you know, with a mismatched centre and big tower speakers, and that's not how the speakers are behind a cinema screen. It's very misleading for whoever came up with the centre channel, because it really does sabotage your home cinema, because you're not using matched speakers and the sensitivity is very low. And when you got those speakers very far away, or you're far away from them, oh, the typical comments that you often read are the dialogue. I can barely hear it. Well, if you can't barely hear the dialogue, it means you can't barely hear any of the subtleties in maybe Foley or effects or music, discrete, you know, if it's playing digital. So you probably don't notice that. Why you say you can't hear the dialogue is because it's not actually playing back, more or less. It doesn't have to play back at the same level like a cinema, because it has to fit the size of the room. But you got those little speakers, and they're just like, I could put one in my room. I can set them up. A JBL THX HT1F, and set that up against versus cinema, and the cinema is going to beat it. The smaller speakers are okay if you're in a room that's really tiny, even though my room is tiny. And then I'm thinking, good gosh, you know, I hope the tweeters. Camera fell over. Well, was I put? Did I have the? Was I pointing this at me or pointing at the other? I can't remember which. I can't remember. Anyway, rambling. I need to get a new one of these. I knew it would break sooner or later, but yeah. I mean, just get those. Crying out loud. I mean, the 8330A are not bad. They're not bad. They're still used, and even some of the original THX dub stage still use them, which is called the 3210. I think they could be the 8340s by looking, but it's very hard to tell. They got about 16 of these, so they're all going down the sidewalls and then on the back wall. And then I think they got some overheads as well, but I'm not sure if they're the same speaker, same JBL, because I haven't looked at the other pictures. But yeah, that's the original THX dubbing stage. It's part of ILM or such now, I think. 3210 building, something. Wow. I mean, with normal surround positioning, there are sort of yeah, anyone's going to notice it. Yeah, they're kind of like gaps, sort of thing. That's why I'm trying to get my other box up here rigged up when I make my lead, because I've got some of the cables down there and the kit. I just got to make it up. Just got to make an input lead up, or a couple input leads, so I can then switch and then have several surround configurations. So I can take the conventional surround signal and then put that on the overhead. Try doing that on a Trinoff. I don't think it's gonna I'll be surprised. But I read the manual over and over, and it's something that I wouldn't even. Trinov, I wouldn't even put it in a dog or cat rescue shelter. It's not worth my time. So I'll be able to put the sound up above. That's how I heard Aliens in when it played at Gaumont Odeon Screen 2. It had left half, right half surround configuration with 6 speakers that are also flush fitted in the ceiling, spread evenly around the auditorium. So it was really a, what do you call it, immersive storytelling. I would also have another thing rigged up so I could use the blow surrounds. So they'll be playing the same signal, even though when I use those, they're going for a matrix, so it can steer, sound can move and change position. But I would do it so the sound will be coming from the sides, above, and from below, and it should be totally enveloping. Even though they are different size speaker, JBL. If my room was larger, oh gosh, I'd probably have the not exactly have the 8330. Well, it's possible, it's doable, but I'd have to have a very large room to do something like that, so that they would be the floor would be designed and they would be fit flush into the floor, and there would be an absolute cluster of them. But makes it very awkward to maintain and clean them, because they would need cleaning every week, vacuum cleaning that is. You've got to clean dust up and everything, because dust is, unless you get something like maybe an air purifier or something, get as much dust out of the room as you can, and then it goes into a filter and minimize the dust. Otherwise they need regularly, because they'll just get ruined. That's one way of doing it. I can't think of any other home cinema that's thinking the way I do, because I look at a film, I can hear the sound, I can see what's going on visually, and I'm thinking, needs to go a little bit more further. I mean, THX took it further when it played in the cinemas. I mean, I've only caught so many movies in THX. I'd like to have caught quite a more of them. So at the UCI at High Wycombe, because that THX cinema was absolute dynamite. Kaboom! It was like the essences and purities of the universe. It was like how that was tuned and EQ'd, and how everything played, and or would have. I only saw one movie there, and that was Arachnophobia in Dolby SR. And Dolby SR is probably by far the best analog sound you could possibly hear. It was flipping out. A friend said he saw Aliens there, and I'm kind of a little bit jealous. I mean, don't usually get jealous, but yeah, I could just imagine what that was like. I get it good in here. I can get it good in here, but not sure if the camera went upside. I think this video is going to be a little bit upside down, turned around and back to front, because because my what's it is kind of thrown me off here a little bit, and so I've got to get a new one. Look at it. It's not even. It's like Leaning Tower of bloody Pisa. Oh my goodness me. Oh dear. You got to buy something sometimes that you think it's gonna be robust. But I did give it a kind of maybe 80%. It probably get broken eventually. Yeah. After that fell on Bear, and he's still calm. He's still a cool cat. So this little clipper thing here, it broke off. It snapped. Plastic. It's not a problem. I couldn't have super glued. That wouldn't even work. Could maybe if I'd have put enough cable ties around it, it'd probably hold. Isn't that right, Bear? No, he doesn't say anything, do you? No, he doesn't say anything. So, yeah. Meow meow. Yeah, sorry that kind of fell on you. Ah, dear. Now let's put the other laserdisc player back in operation, because that could play PAL laserdisc, whereas the 909 that's currently running only plays NTSC or DVD, PAL and region and NTSC regions, etc. You know, but nothing won't play PAL laserdisc. Maybe if I changed the circuit card that goes in it, which is I think a video card board, and it goes down one side of the player, unless I had got another one of those cards or such, I think that might do it. It might have the same plugins, so you unplug everything, plug it all back. It might do it. I don't know. But that's why I got multi laserdisc players. So now I've had a few other modifications done in here. I'll get some cables through. I'll get some extra cables coming in for in and out. So I'll probably be able to rig it up, but got a spare auxiliary. I think it's auxiliary number 2, but that's only HDMI. So it's like having got to have a special lead. So got component signal going onto the HDMI signal on the input, but I don't like to have a lead coming through and then connecting on there where it could probably easily get broken. Just not sure how many. What have I got on there? That's for the Panasonic 9000 THX. That's for HDVD, but it's currently not being run. I think I've got that connected for I can't remember what I've got that connected for, because I've got so many players up here. So I'm just trying to sort of like think, maybe just have the Panasonic there. Get the HDVD connected all back up there. Don't need the Sony Blu-ray player. So okay. And then of course got laserdisc, which is currently running at the moment. Oh, and it looks like scope. That's because the aspect ratio is completely wrong. That's how it should be. So, have that for maybe another laserdisc player. Auxiliary number 1. Ooh, not sure what I got on that. And I've got JVC, VHS. That's the one in the kitchen. I've got the other JVC D-filter there. I think it might be connected on there. I think it might be connected on the HD DVD. So I'll probably redo the wiring, swap the wiring around. So I'll keep the Panasonic there, put the HDVD back there, probably put a second laserdisc player, probably the other Pioneer on there, the other 909, and then the other one that's currently running, keep it on there still. But I think there's a problem there, Houston. I'm not sure what auxiliary ones you use. I'm not sure if I have to check the back, see what if there's anything connected, because I can't remember. And then of course PC computer, which is HDMI out from the computer. And then got CD, compact disc, don't use it. I'm not sure if it's got a video input. I don't think it would. I don't think it'll have a video input. Might be just either the left-right RCA, as well as you can assign or switch or swap the optical, so the optical input, and you can move it from this channel number and then move it over to this sort of thing, so it connects, so to speak. But most people will just probably run optical. But I got no need, because I use it on the players. Tuner, no, got no use for that. It's not even connected. HEOS, that's the only thing that's connected to the, so I can listen to internet radio, classic, rock, pop, whatever, and I hardly use it. And this thing still gets firmware updates, so whether this had a firmware update for this sort of thing, really, but I rarely use it. Probably a little bit, I listen, maybe a little bit. Anyway, what's TV audio? Oh gosh, I haven't got a foggiest. It might have a video input on it, I don't know. If it does, but I don't think it's would have a HDMI on it, I don't think. And of course phono for the THX turntable. I rarely use the THX turntable. And back to so I'll probably swap a few leads around, get the other Pioneer connected up. But the problem there is there's only 2 optical inputs on the Denon. Two coaxial electrical digital input signal. So they're basically the same as the optical. One's optical and one's electrical. And the optical is better, because if turning a light switch on or off, and you wouldn't get any sort of interruption in the sound, because it would affect the electrical signal, because it does often with a slight sound dropout, so to speak. Whereas if you're using optical, it wouldn't have it wouldn't affect it. I can use an optical splitter. Still waiting for a female connector to come, so I can use my other, I can get some of those optical splitters and have like 2 laserdisc players in the kitchen with one of these. It's behind me, but I'm waiting for the other connector. So I would use one of those, and I would connect two laserdisc two Pioneers into these inputs. So whatever Pioneer is being used, yeah, the signal then will come out, and then it will come back onto the optical input. So that's one way to get around, cut around the corner, so to speak, and it's very cheap. That'll work. That'll work. Yeah. Yeah, it's glad talking about how to, get, around these sort of things. That's neat little bit of kit, but it's very simple. So you could have you can have that connected into the main source, yeah, and then you can have the two outputs going into different, say like optical inputs, or turn it around the opposite way, or whatever, or it depends. It works two ways, this sort of thing. It's very cheap. I mean, you could do it with, well, you could really do it if you could splice the optical leads together. It's very tricky. I think you'd have to use a heat gun or something, meld meld them together, and then put some heat shrink over it so that it won't break. And then just test it to see if any light, connect it to see if the red light is passing through, from one player from the other player. And if that does work, then yeah, you just made an optical lead that's so cheap with a splitter, or make a triple or a quadruple. In any case, with these things, you could daisy chain them. So if I had another one of these, I would connect it onto there. So then I would take it from 2 output to 3 output. I think that's right. One connect onto there. That will be one. Yeah, 3 outputs. So that could be connected out from a main source, or I'd do it the other way round. But yeah, I remember AVRs when they had at least, at the minimum, I think about 3 optical inputs, 3 electrical coaxial inputs. But now they like watering it down. Yeah, but it's not a problem to get around the corners with it if you use the right bit of equipment or gear or whatever. There's also another thing I've been thinking about when getting antiphases or misalignments on the signal on some Dolby Stereo laser discs or such. Typical like dialogue, sort of like filtering out into the surround, and it's like, gosh, how to minimise that? I should wire back up the I think it's the Behringer DEQ, because I did have it connected in here to the so I can make adjustments. So if the signal was out of phase or such, I can adjust it, fix it as best as can, as well as it's got a symmetry. So you got phase adjustment, and then you got a symmetry. So it sort of kind of moves around like that. It's kind of weird. And then you got the phase, like that, and then you got stereo width, where it has to be, I think, a 1-to-1 soda ratio. And then you can make it narrower, and then you can make it very wide. Problem there, making it very, very wide, you will then get the signal going. Any center signal would kind of filter out into the mono matrix surround. As well as it's got audio compressor on it and audio limiter, so you could do a few adjustments on it, make the film really output some really brilliant dynamic range that's going to put a Blu-ray 4K to utter shame. And still maintain a safety factor with an audio limiting, so can make certain scenes or certain that's going to play in the movie really wicked, and yet that poor old 4K format is going to sound like, it really does sound like it's compressed. Compressed. It's a near field mix. That's why it sounds rubbish. It's a near field mix. It's been messed around with. It's been tampered with. You get the same movie on laserdisc, you put it on, and it's like, blimey, this sounds a lot better. Everyone's tricked into buying 4K thinking, oh, it's luxury. And the hardcore home cinemas would still be running laserdisc, whereas everyone's sold them and they can't really hear or tell the difference. They think by studios saying this is lossless audio, it's the original studio master. Bullshit. It's a near field mix. Studio master. I think they say that for like DTS, it's mastered audio or what, and then Dolby True, it's like it's true to the original. Oh, bullshit. Unless you get a theatrical mix that very rarely is going to come by, and it's like a theatrical, but they don't tell us, they don't tell us. They don't tell the public. They think that, it's like the government don't want to admit to Area 51 or anything because we're like children. It's like, oh, what's going on here, huh? I mean, I don't believe a bloody single word. If someone says a kaleidoscope, oh yeah, it gets all these premiere blooming theatrical releases, and yeah, you got to pay a little ridiculous amount of money. Couldn't care less. I couldn't care less today for new movies anymore. I don't hardly go to see them anymore. I don't go to cinemas anymore. There are no THX cinemas around, and all the cinemas sound like they just sound loud. Oh, a little bit of bass. Oh, is that it? Is that all Atmos can do? Bloody Sensor around did it more harder. And then THX. Oh my goodness. Wow. A standard. And it's like, wow, that Dolby film that played in that cinema sounded very kind of weak and then this one, my goodness. And yet you got to travel sometimes, just to experience that. Not even IMAX. It's like there's other things like HPS 4000. Not many of them around. I was looking at cinema advertisements the other night where some cinemas had two HPS 4000 in two screens and extraordinary Lucasfilm Limited THX sound system in one auditorium, and thinking, I can see the competition there, but I've read some of what Patreons have commented between, it's not, they don't roast THX, they're not roasting. They say one seems to be very more dynamic with this movie because they've seen the same movie many times to compare the experience. And it's like, well, the HBS had quite a bit more, than but it could be the fault of the install on that the other THX cinema. I mean, I saw Arachnophobia at downtown, and then I saw it 1 month later in THX, and it was like, my goodness, this beast is just pressing so hard into my body, like it's like my cat sometimes. He likes to sit on me on the bed. It felt like that, and then when they get stand up and they're pushing their paws, it was like that. It was like that. And yeah, I go to a 70mm IMAX. It used to be down here downtown, and it just, yeah, it had some bass, but not as hard as the Empire Leicester Square or even High Wycombe. It was just like, nah, it's okay. Because one IMAX, they don't have baffle wall behind the screen, so most of their bass energy is going to waste. Think about it, and you pay more. I'm not sure what it's like at London, because they got two screens back to front, back to back, where they divided the auditorium, bastards. And the only word was when that place opened, I can hear sound leakage from the other auditorium. Oh wow, 11, 12 million pounds. Gosh golly, what a waste of money. And they got sound leakage. They probably hadn't been able to fix it. They probably had to readjust the levels or make sure that this film starts at a certain time or whatever, and work it out that way so you don't notice. But I doubt the other screen's got a baffle wall behind the screen. It's probably just like the other one, the Limax. So it's really a shame, because the Empire had a decent sound. THX, it was a large auditorium, it was a large screen, because often you say that cinema is a large screen, meaning auditorium, or you could say, oh, the screen is the largest, or it was the largest THX screen in the United Kingdom, and now you got a stupid Limax, and they probably, half their punters have gone away and probably won't even go to that cinema again, and the only ones will be the new kiddies, because they think up there, oh, it's IMAX. Blimey, and that, I thought they're smart, all these kiddies today with their mobile phones. It's Limax. It's lying. It's not like you go to see 71 and there's a difference in the screen height, the size of the screen. And now they're talking about trying to get Limax on Disney Plus. Oh my goodness, I'm not interested in it one way or another. I'll never subscribe to Disney Plus. So what, they're thinking, oh, let me see now, is this some sort of tactic? Because some Disney recently has lost something like 1 point or something ridiculous billion in its I'm not sure if it's Disney Plus or something, and a lot of their customers or so probably unsubscribed and just walked away and give it the finger, because of what they did to Star Wars. Screw them, sod them. I'll take my money elsewhere. Sod them. I prefer to have films physical. Gotta keep it physical, physical. Oh, on laserdisc. Gotta be physical, physical. I prefer it on laserdisc, VHS, DVD, crappy Blu-ray, garbage trash 4K. I prefer to keep it physical. I mean, looking at this laserdisc on an OLED, it's like almost like looking at 4K or maybe 50K, because I heard a room there's going to be a 50K coming out soon. Yeah, and it'll still be a bloody near field mix. Oh dear, talk about, you buy a Trinov, talk about garbage in and garbage out. Oh dear. I mean, I think the best mono laser disc I got is probably Man with a Golden Gun. Oh my goodness! I put that on. It feels. I tell you, I can feel all the foley. I can feel all the qualities of the magnetic track on the mono. Um, I put the DVD on, and it's like, it sounds like they've been doing some cleaning up and filtering and such. But oh my goodness, the laser just flipping that. When the Man with the Golden Gun shoots that Japanese guy, just so he can get the Solex, and then the solar power thing. Oh, flipping it. When the guy's body falls on the floor, and this is a concrete floor, it feels like a flipping thud, earthquake. Damn. Oh, that's how good it is. And yeah, I put the DVD on, and it's like, where the bloody hell's that? Where's the rest of the soundtrack? It's been thrown out the window, hasn't it? Bloody near field mixed. Oh.